trusting me and this weird title. So I hope it makes sense by the end of these 45 minutes together. Okay, if you're in L&D, you're in a bit of a bind right now, right? We're getting pushed from pillar to post. We're often stretched paper thin, supporting the business. And very often we're left like responding to that loudest leader in the room. Like I have been there, all the nodding, absolutely. Instead of creating a strategic enablement plan that actually supports the entire business. And I have actually been in both situations. And in fact, I moved backwards. I went from a strategic partner to an order taker. So I truly understand like both sides of this coin. And obviously I support the strategic partner side of it. But what that taught me was really something about having some robust plans, focusing on my development and prioritizing my career and truly advocating for myself and advocating for the role of learning and development within the business. So with our next few minutes together, I'm going to take you through some really practical, robust things that you can use straight away. My middle name is Practical, so you'll be able to download some awesome things. But first, I want to tell you a story. And for that, I need to go back to 2014. So it's been 10 years, and I can still feel my stomach drop when I relive this moment, and it's been 10 years. So I want to take you through that story. It all started back in 2012, and I was promoted to Learning and Development Manager, supporting 3,000 people, and life was going well, like really seriously well. And about a month into my new position, I sat with my manager. So a month in, sat with my manager. He was my manager in my previous role, so knew me really well. And I asked him, okay, what's it going to take for me to get my next promotion? And so after a whole like, oh, Candice, you haven't even been in this role for a month. Now you're asking for your next promotion. I said, hold on. My next promotion is at least 2 years out. And I don't want to get to that 2 years having done nothing to get me to be ready for that promotion. So it would take 2 years, and this is what I had to do. So after the whole, oh, Candice, we got to a plan. So I had to be a top performer and had to continue with my development. And we had a really good plan in place. And this is what happened. So within the first year of me being in a learning and development manager role, I achieved that walk on water performance rating. And for perspective, there were 2 out of 800 HR professionals that got that rating. It was such a big deal. It had to go for approval to the CEO of this Fortune 500 company because a newbie, I was first year in the new role, getting this rating was just absolutely unheard of. Then I was nominated by the company to attend a prestigious global leadership program in one of the top 100 business schools in the world. And again, to put it into perspective, there were 9 of us out of the 12,000 employees that got to go on that. When people started hearing that I was nominated, like my colleagues and friends were phoning me like, oh my gosh, Candice, you've made it. Like, this is amazing. And then I was moved from one function to the next to lift up that other function because it was nowhere near where this function I was supporting, it was nowhere near there. So they thought, okay, Candice is going to come in and like save the day and lift up this other department. So things were going just smashingly. Then May 2014 came and the role opened up, my dream role, the Learning and Development Director for the sales function. The role I wanted, the function I wanted, the team I wanted to lead. I was so excited. I prepared for that interview like I've never prepared for anything before and since. And I still have the presentation, and 10 years on, it's actually still pretty good. So I delivered that with confidence and pride. I nailed that interview. And as I walked out of the room, Ashley was there. And I knew that was the moment, and my stomach's even dropping now. I knew in that moment that I didn't get the job. She just had this air of confidence. She walked around like she was walking on clouds, like the sun was shining out of her. And she walked into the interview room carrying a box full of learning material. So I thought, okay, so she's walking in with this box full of learning material that she had worked on. No, it was the learning material I had worked on because she had taken over from me when I moved to the other department. So yes, she did some tweaks here and there, but essentially that was my work she was walking into the interview with. So I went home immediately. I remember walking to the lift. I got in, I pushed -3 like I'd done hundreds of times. I basically ran to my car and I cried the whole way home. I just knew I didn't get that job. That night, my then boyfriend, now husband, took me out to the Fishmonger, my favorite restaurant in South Africa. And he said, Candice, you are overreacting, right? You are 10 times better than Ashley. Just, you will get the job. You're overreacting, calm down. But I was right, and I didn't get the job. Even though I was the top performer, I was the one, the chosen one, being developed in this global leadership program. I was supporting everyone, training everyone, and I was the most deserving, the most qualified for that job. So Ashley, remember, she took over from me. She had less than 2 years experience in learning and development. I wrote my resignation letter that day, and that is a literal copy of it, my maiden name. But I didn't hand it in. I figured I could go somewhere else and maybe the same thing will happen again, or I can stay here and learn, like what happened, what went wrong, how can I change things? Obviously, I decided on the second one. And here is why Ashley won. She networked. She networked the hell out of everything. She knew everyone, everyone's names. She was just, it felt like she was 7 different people, all the places. She made sure she was in the right rooms, and she made sure she attended all the meetings with the people who matter, who were making the decisions. So she was all over it. And she advocated for herself. She put her career first, while I worked hard, performing, ticking all the boxes, and supporting everyone else. What I didn't mention was when I moved to that other department, I trained all the L&D people. So I was in charge of training up all the learning and development people, which in that time was a team of 76 people. So I was lifting everyone up, head down, working hard, doing all the things that we're supposed to do. So I don't want this to ever happen to you. And if it has, I don't want it ever to happen again. So I want us to put ourselves first and advocate for ourselves. So I'm going to take you through 3 things that we can do right now with the business to make sure we are seen and showcasing our value. So here is where we get into the practical side of things. Section 1 I call conversations that connect. And the panel this morning said it, the key speakers. They were saying that, without a thorough understanding of the business, we're dead in the water. And so if we don't do this, if we don't have these conversations, if we don't know our business, we all know who is the first to get the boot when the bottom line is bottoming out. And yeah, lots of nods. I have been through this too. So yikes, we don't want to get there. So practical questions that you can ask the business to get to know them. What are the strategic pillars or goals or whatever you call it? Where is the business going? So what are the 5 key things? Oftentimes there'll be 5, maybe 7, whatever it is. But just what are those things? And then what are the business metrics that are going to show us that we're successful in that? Then we ask them, which is different to the strategic pillars, because that's for now. Where is the business going? So where are we heading to? What is the 5-year plan? We want to get into their heads so much that we know exactly where the business is going, because then and only then will we be able to build the capability that actually gets us there. And then what are the people goals? Okay, and then this leads into the next slide of what not to ask. So what not to ask are, what are the people development goals? That's our job. Once we know the business, their goals, what are the people goals? Maybe it's retention, maybe it's expanding into China, whatever the case is. We do not ask them what the people development goals are. We come to the business with those. What do we train people on? Again, that is our job. So once we know the people development goals, right, we're having high turnover, we need to focus on onboarding. Yes, we're going to focus on onboarding. What are we going to train people on within onboarding? And then the lingo. So this is where I really want to urge you, just leave the gamification and learning styles and all of that stuff. And yeah, we can have the argument where the, learning styles and all of that, but leave it at the door. Like, your business doesn't actually care how you get there. We just need to get them there. Okay, so in summary, with knowing the business, to strategically partner with them, we need to know it inside and out. Like, you need to basically be the CEO. That is how I had that success in that role of mine, to get that 5 rating. So the 3 things to do immediately: meet with your executive team, ask the business leaders, so speak to the functions you support, speak with those people, and then deep dive into the data. Whatever data you have, you deep dive into that. Step 2 is know the people. And this is my favorite part. This is literally what lights me up. So I love speaking with the people that I'm going to support. So the only way you'll ever get anywhere is if you have people on your train. And why should we care? Because the people are our customers. So I don't think of them as learners. They're literally my customers. I am creating solutions for my customers. And so you need their buy-in and you need their trust. So without them, we've got nothing. Okay. So again, things you must do. Spend time with the people who do the learning. Okay. And now I know I get a lot of pushback here, but Candice, I don't have time. And this is where I want to say, this is the measure twice, hammer once. Because if you know them, you're actually going to deliver material that's useful for them. And I'm going to take you through an example in a bit. So what does their days look like? What are their challenges? And what do they desire? What are they dreaming of? Where do they want to go? Don't do fancy road shows. Okay. Put your high heels and your fancy jackets away. Like, just get there and like mingle with them. So I remember one of my managers, he went, we worked in construction, and he went to visit the team in his, fancy tie and all of that. And then they didn't even take him seriously. So they just like called him a suit and kind of just brushed him aside. So we've got to get there. Like, I would rock up like jeans, trainers, safety jacket, safety boots, like, because I worked in manufacturing and mining and all of that stuff. So you've just got to meet them where they are. And I didn't first do that. So yes, I first pitched up with my board, taking notes. So don't just get there and just be one of them. Making a digital course library available and thinking our work is done. And this is what happened to me when I was that order taker. That's what the business wanted. They were like, get LinkedIn Learning up and running, Candice, then your job is good. And I was like, I want to create learning journeys. But they didn't even expect that of me. Then throwing some videos out there, making people watch it for compliance, and thinking our work is done. This is all coming from experience. And then churning out more content, more modules, more, and thinking our work is done. Again, we need to get laser focused in what we actually deliver so that we make an impact. All right, and this is where I'm going to tell you when I visited my truck drivers. So when I moved from the one department to the other, I supported operations, and part of that group were truck drivers. So I would go to the depot. I'd need to get that 4:30 while they're loading their trucks, meaning I had to leave home at 1:30. But that's what I did. And I went and I watched them load the trucks, and I met them and I met their teams and all of that. And so now my job was to develop their capability. And I'm thinking, all right, truck drivers, they're delivering our product. We need to teach them some like communication skills, customer service skills. Like, that's at the back of my mind. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure I can help these people. But then I go and I meet them, trucks shining like you've never seen trucks shine. So semis in America, trucks, semis, same thing. Big trucks. And so they are like gleaming. And so I'm like thinking, this is, these trucks are beautiful. And as I'm speaking to them, they're actually business owners. So they own the truck. They are responsible for their finances, for recruiting their team, for profit and loss. So if they have breakage or theft, they're responsible for that stuff. They did not need customer service. They were so proud. Their customer service was top-notch. They needed help in business acumen and running a small business, and what that took. So imagine, I didn't meet them. Now I'm giving them customer service training. It would have been a complete and utter waste of resources, budget. Like, everything, like such a way. So I completely shifted and I helped them run a small business. That was the capability they needed. So a complete and utter change. So again, you've got to connect with your people. I would say this is the most critical thing to our success. As you meet with the team leads, attend team meetings, because that's where you'll get like the culture and how people talk to each other. Then you can blend in a little bit better. That's probably where I started swearing. So, and then spend a few days with them doing the work. So yeah, I would go to the depots. If you're in a call center, go and sit there, listen to calls, whatever it takes. Like I would go right along with the sales function, whatever it takes, get to know those people. Then step 3 is building the bridge. And this is like essentially how I help corporate clients. Is I go in and I look, where's the business going? Where are the people? What do they need? And then I build the bridge between them so that everyone can get there. Not just one person, not just one team, because again, responding to the loudest leader, that's not going to help us. So it's getting everyone across that bridge in terms of capability. And for that, yeah, there'll be overlap, and I can tell you about piano lessons in the break. Then link their learning to the pain points. So you actually talk like a marketer and say, this learning is going to help you do this. So like when I did it for the truck drivers, I was like, we're going to help you run your business profitably and seamlessly, link the learning to their work and then tell the story of how it meets their desires. So all interlinked. All right, things to not do. So any fluff. So for me, middle name, practical, I cut out all the fluff. I don't like just doing things for the hoo-ha of it. It's really getting laser focused and then training for the sake of. There's so much people need to learn to perform in their roles. We don't have to make stuff up. Like we can get super focused here, and then building things that could have been an email. So, some of the most effective trainings that I have ever done was like a postcard on a manufacturing wall, a keychain for those drivers. As simple as that were the most powerful things I've ever developed. Okay, so in summary, to move the needle, you need to solve for both. You're solving for business, but ultimately the employees are our customers. All right, now section 2. This is the good part. So, not that the other part wasn't the good part, but this is really cool. So the Learning and Development Impact Alignment Matrix. And I developed this to help myself in my consultancy, to be honest, really align with business KPIs quickly. So the matrix, again, very practical framework, aligning L&D with the business KPIs. And I'm going to take you through step by step. And just so that you know, all of these templates, I'm going to give you a QR code and you can grab all of them. This one is especially cool. It's got 2 pages of examples. So every function I could think of in organizations, and I completed the matrix. So there are 2 pages of examples, and we'll walk through 3 of them. So the steps is to identify the business KPIs, map the relevant KPIs to our role in L&D, what can we help them with, determine data sources and any dependencies, because that's where we get a lot of L&D doesn't do that or can't influence that, and then define L&D capability, focus on support, and then document and track, which then will lead into the final step. Okay, here are the examples. Finance, engineering, packaging. The relevant KPIs for finance can be time to competence. Maybe we have a whole new finance department and they need to get upskilled really fast. Engineering, error reduction rate. Packaging efficiency. Then we just describe it with the business leader. And here this might be where you're thinking, okay, error reduction rate, this is a lot. But when you actually meet with the heads, because they can have 20, 30 KPIs, right? They can have a lot of KPIs. You focus on the top 3 at most. Never go beyond 3. I would say 2. But you focus in and zone in on the 2 top KPIs that they are working on that is really their pain point, because then you can zone in and get laser focused on what you give to them. So yeah, and you describe the KPI in terms of not necessarily the technical definition, but what's it going to look like or how's it going to improve with training. Then L&D ownership. And again, because I know this is where we get pushback, it's we don't have any control over packaging efficiency, Candice, but we do it anyway, because this is going to be really game changing. So you either say L&D own, so time to competence, we're going to onboard people. that is up to us. We own that. Then L&D co-owned. So if we look at the engineering, error reduction rate tracks errors in the engineering projects. So we can help there. We can help with project management. We can help with a lot. Like, we have more control over that because it's essentially project management within engineering. But then packaging, where we look at measures how well employees optimize packaging processes, yes, we can't really influence that, packaging processes, but we can help. And so it's L&D influenced. And so those are the 3 levels. And, it's a gray area. There's no like black and white, like it's definitely L&D owned. So you just, after discussion, decide on something. And then the data to collect. So we're going to do formal assessments. We're going to ask managers. We're going to get peer reviews. We're going to look at the scorecards, whatever that looks like. And you actually list it there. And then again, because it's like, well, what if our stock price plummets? We have no control over that. Just list it here. So list anything. Economic trends, stock price, technology advancements, supplier material. After COVID, there was no material for like a year. In technology. So that was huge. And then internal dependencies. So you don't have any influence over budget decisions. You don't have any influence over, strategic financial decisions, inventory levels, so you just label all the things where it's dependent outside of your control. Then you can focus on, so how can L&D help and actually build the capability? So we need the finance people to have financial analysis and the tools. As they get onboarded, they need to know how we do financial analysis in this company, and they need to know our tools. So yes, absolutely, we can build the capability through that with mentorships, coaching, onboarding, whatever it looks like. And so that's how you work through this matrix. And then I want to urge you. So maybe some of you are sitting there thinking, this looks great, Candice, but my business is not going to go for this. And yes, again, I've been there, but do it anyway. Even if you're sitting there by yourself going through, I wonder what engineering cares about, and you write it down, because your mindset will fundamentally shift from what training can we develop to how can I help with error reduction rates. Because that is, when I was in that company, we chased market share. That was all we did, supporting the sales function. We did not think, what sales training do they need? We're like, no, how can we help our sales force get more market share? Every single meeting, everything. And that was why we were able to deliver learning that really, truly moved the needle. And then the last section here, so section 3, I developed a PowerPoint presentation for all of you to showcase your value. So you can download it. It's fully editable, so you can put your own branding, whatever it looks like. But I urge you, don't just do training and think, oh, well, that was fun. No, actually have a meeting with your business leaders and show them what you did, because they don't know. If you don't show them, they don't know. And this was one of my biggest mistakes. I was like, that training was amazing, but I didn't tell anyone. No, I felt good. The people felt good, but I didn't put it together and actually talk about it or show any stakeholders or people who made decisions. Okay, so I'll just take you through a few slides. I think there's like 20 slides, but I'm not going to go through that, but grab the template and then you can use it. So it's going to look like this. So the title slide, put this L&D impact review of blah, blah, blah training. Subtitle is, we're going to evaluate the success of this intervention. Put your logo, whatever you need. So it looks like this, but you can delete all my stuff, my branding. Put together an executive summary. And then these are all the slides. Okay, not 20. That's a bit of an exaggeration. But yeah, so it's like overview of the initial goals. Learning interventions and execution. What did we do? How many people did we train? What were the scores? All of that stuff. Results and measurable outcomes. Hey, we looked at error reduction rates. We can show 6 months later, we improved it by 0.2. Yes, learning and development will never be fully responsible for any of that stuff, but we're going to tell them anyway because we had an influence in it. 100% we did. Okay. So grab the sustainability, long-term impact, strategic recommendations, and next steps. So what if we didn't move the needle? What if the KPI got worse? We can say, I think we missed this piece. This is what I suggest going forward. Okay, doesn't always mean we improve things, but it always means that we're moving towards improvement. So here's how we're going to wrap up. I didn't plan to do this in the speech at all, but it took me less than 3 hours to get this information. And it was dumbfounding how bad L&D speaks about L&D. Like, I love this field, and it was shocking. It hurt me personally, even though it wasn't aimed at me. Yeah, things like we're sabotaging our own success. We played a part in this. We just deliver too many ineffective solutions. No one gives a shit about L&D. And then that one, it's about freaking time. Ready, got my work boots on, popcorn, and I'm ready to watch the folks who have refused all these years get left behind. Like, how can we leave ourselves behind? Are we being demoted? And then that last one was, to me, horrific. They basically asked ChatGPT to make fun of us. And so if you read that, it's fully sarcastic. So, oh, L&D professionals, the unsung heroes of the corporate. If only anyone actually listened to them. Oh, they'll take the training because it's mandatory, say us, blissfully unaware that everyone's watching Netflix. And let's talk about the eternal optimism. Everyone loves learning. Yeah, sure, because nothing says fun like a 90-minute compliance training. So yeah, and it goes on. Then this, so most L&D professionals don't ever think about how to measure the impact of their work, and the ones that do are still confused. And then that one, 50% of executives think L&D is a waste of time. But what hurts about that, because that wasn't malicious, but it was the comments that just yeah, that sounds about right. That's not surprising. Like, what? We add such value to our businesses. This is not okay. And then this, like a mockery. It's not okay. And here are just some podcast snippets that I got, because I listen to a lot of podcasts. So, that one. I inherited a team of phenomenal salespeople, but useless learning and development team. And we had to deliver proper training. It was a bloody nightmare. Okay. And I disagree with everything there, because I have spoken with 97 learning and development leaders. Not one of them didn't care, didn't want to do the right thing, were useless, no matter where they came from, and didn't choose to be there. So yes, maybe they came from sales or marketing, finance, ops, I've trained them all, but they all chose to be there. They wanted to support people, lift people up, be the reason why people succeeded, and be the reason why the company thrived. They want to do the best work of their lives. They want to matter, feel valued, respected, and be trusted to do the amazing work that we do and have the amazing impact that we have. And I bet you that that's you. Everyone in this room and everyone at this conference. So I want to leave you with this quick little story. When I was 18, I moved from South Africa to London. And I'm sure you all remember, like, moving out of your parents' home, you had no clue what you were doing. You were like this young, naive person. So I was this broke kid living in a new country, and I needed to get my hair cut. And so a friend told me that Tony and Guy gives free haircuts. The only catch is that it's by a trainee, but don't worry, the professional is right there next to them. What could go wrong? And so I had an appointment and I walked in, and as I walked in, I knew this wasn't going to end well. The person given to me had a terrible haircut, like really bad. Like, she was experimenting on herself and it wasn't going well. I knew with every part of me that I needed to walk out of there, but I didn't. And yes, we can guess what happened. Candice unquestionably had a terrible haircut. So yeah, I kind of looked like that guy. And my hair doesn't grow, so I looked like that guy for about a year. And why am I telling you this? The whole topic of my speech is because how often are we like that hairstylist? We tell everyone else, look after yourself, prioritize your career, advocate for yourself. And yet we don't do that. We don't do that first. And so I want you and everyone in this room to prioritize yourself and your career, because you took a step today to come here and you've invested in yourself, and that is fantastic. But imagine a world where learning and development led the way, where people weren't just taking our classes, but they were actually looking up to us as leaders, as examples in the field. So on the surface, this talk was about some practical tools that you can use to go and get to know your business, your people, build the bridge, do the impact alignment matrix, and then showcase your value with an awesome PowerPoint template. But really what this was about you and your development and your career. Because I believe that we have a huge impact. If we are shit hot at our work, every single person in the organization benefits for the good. So I truly believe it needs to start with us. So I know you want to matter, you want to be developed, and you want to make that impact that you know you can. And the thing is, all of you here know this. You just have to believe it in your core. So your career and your life are too important not to take the next step, and I hope you'll take it with me.